So like the dam, you can search for a token name by the contract address or just a given name. Like you can type gas and there you go. But you can see that there's other tokens with these different names. So you want to be sure you have the correct contract address when you're doing this. It's always best to search by that. There are filters that you can go through here. You can say only show me things that are verified by Jupiter, and various other safety things. You can filter by all of this here. I'm not going to go into all the details, but you can even filter by specific launch pads if you'd like. We can sort by the TVL or the 24-hour volume. You can actually change this here. Maybe you only want to see 30-minute volume or 2-hour volume. You can change by that. Same with fee over TVL. Now, this is simply a calculation of the TVL and volume. This percentage is based off of that. This number, however, can get skewed whenever there are by deposits and withdrawals into a pool. So let's say you're in a pool that has $10,000 of liquidity in it. Let's say a whale comes in and deposits $100,000 worth of liquidity into that pool. It's going to cause this number to go way down because the amount of fees generated hasn't changed, but the TVL has changed. Okay, it's simple math. The opposite can happen is, say a pool has $100,000 worth of TVL in it and people extract 90,000. That will cause that number to go way up. And like this one, it may look way more attractive than it actually is. Here's an example of this one here, this 20 bin step 1% base fee. It's got 0 TVL, but in the last 24 hours, there was some people have withdrawn it. And so it looks like it's got over 999% fee over TVL. That looks great, right? Well, it's not. Just because people have withdrawn enough and it's caused that number to shoot way up. Okay. All right. So anyway, we're going to sort here. We'll look down at all of these pools and we can see the bin step and the base fee. Meteor is going to sort what it believes to be the best choice on the top, but you may want to choose something else. That's why it's all here. One of the things that I like to look for is what's got the most volume versus TVL. This particular one, like there's $508,000 of TVL in there, but over $22 million of volume that have come through here. So that's a lot of volume hitting that TVL in the last 24 hours. So that's awesome. You may see different things that be more attractive to you. You will see a lot of pools because, again, anybody can create a pool. It doesn't mean that it's a good one. For example, this 100 bin step 0.01 base fee, that's not a good choice. No one is putting their liquidity in there. That is a bad pool to choose. This one here, the 20.2 is for this particular token is probably the right choice. So in here, we'll see again the TVL, how much of these two tokens are in there. We'll see what the liquidity distribution is, and you can zoom in and out on that. It's listing our bin step, which they've put in handy tooltips to help you understand what all of these things are. The base fee, the dynamic fee. So we've got a little bit of volatility on this particular token pair, and they've added it all up for you for the current total trading fee, which is actually not too bad for a 0.2% base fee pool to have this much dynamic fee. That's not bad. You'll see something listed as max fee. It's 10%. That's true on everything. 10% is the maximum possible. We have our protocol fee on the DLMM. it's 5% of the dynamic fee. And there's always a dynamic fee with every DLMM pool. Even if the dynamic fee is 0, this is what it's based off of, or so the total trading fee, actually 5%. We'll see how many fees have been generated by this pool in the last 24 hours. Charting tools, links to community tools. We'll see a nice little representation here of volume. It can do up to a week, I believe, but it's just telling you, so we can see on January 15th, it had this much volume, and then today, this much volume. So the trend was down on that. Okay, your liquidity, total liquidity, all that. Let's make a deposit, okay? I'm going to expand the chart here. Take a quick look at this. This thing looks like it's actually rugging. So that's fun. So I'm going to put in just a very tiny bit for demonstration purposes. And I'm going to actually start out one-sided here. In order to do a one-sided deposit, you need to uncheck the autofill button. And I'm just going to put in 0.1 because I don't want to put a whole lot of money on this rug. So scrolling down, we're not putting any of the other token in there. We'll select our strategy. Do I want a spot? Do I want a curve? Do I want a bid ask? Let's just go with a pure spot for now. We scroll down, we can see what that looks like. We can move this slider back and forth to change the price range or how many bins that I'd like. You can come in here and type the actual price that you want to set it to. What most people use is the actual percentage. So for here, for the minimum price, it's at 12%. Let's say that I want to go down 30%. So I'll just come in here and I would change this number to 30. And you click and you'll see that it automatically adjusted the number of bins required to cover that price range. The default is 6970 bins. You can't change this number manually. Whenever you change these things, it will calculate the correct number of bins for you. You can also change the max price. Let's say that I want to go up 10%. So I change that there. Now there's no liquidity being deposited here because I'm doing a one-sided deposit. But let's go ahead and see here. The next part is cost details. Sol needed to create this position and how much of that is refundable when you close that. Let's click on this and we can see a greater breakdown. The DLMM does not use LP tokens or NFTs. It's putting it on the blockchain itself. That's rent on the Solana blockchain. It's not money that Meteoric keeps. When you close your position, you reclaim that rent. So we can see here it's got, because it's more than 69 or 70 bins, you have the position extension rent. That's why this number is higher than this number here. Let's see if we can force this into another situation where it's, oh, that's too many bins. The max number of bins for any one given position is 1,400. But I want to click on this. I did that so I can demo this. If you are depositing liquidity into a price range where no liquidity has ever been deposited before, the bins have to be created on the Solana blockchain. That is non-refundable rent because bins can't be destroyed once they're created. That has a cost of 0.07 SOL per bin array. That's not per bin, but bin array. It's usually 2 when you're doing that. So please pay attention when you are making a deposit Are you having to create bin arrays? Because you will not get that money back if you do. Now, when you create a bin array, it can be used by anybody. You don't own it. It's available to everybody out there. All right. So I'm going to change this back to a more reasonable number. And we will now add liquidity. And I approve it in my wallet. Now, if you guys ever see in your wallet, I see this, I use Soulflare a lot. You may see something like simulation failed or what have you. That's okay. Just continue. It should go through. It will tell you if it failed, but we can see here it completed. I now have a position. We can see how much money is in there, what it's doing when it's moving. We can already see that it's moved down some, and I'm generating some fees here. We have our balances and our unclaimed swap fees. It's a very small number because I only put in $1.47, but that is how that looks. You can see how much of my SOL has been converted into this other token right here. Okay. So going back here, we can see our total liquidity amount value. If you click on that, it will change it to SOL instead of USD. That change, of course, affects this as well. It's just a visual thing that you can change to see what that looks like. Okay. All right. Now you can, if you wanted to add a second position, you totally could. We're going to buy a tiny bit of this token for demonstration purposes only. 0.01. I'll do the swap. Okay, so now I have some of this token. I'm going to do autofill. And I'm going to hit the max because I want to deposit all of this token in there. And we can see that it put in a balance of this token and SOL right here. You can, of course, change this to look however you want, but you'll notice the amount of SOL required changed when I did that. I go the other way, it brought it down. All right. So you can do that. You can always hit this reset price, which will bring it back to the center. So yeah, you can change all of these things here. Let's say I want to do 12% and 12%. Why not? So there's that. I'll do a pure spot in this particular situation. I'll hit add liquidity. And when you notice that the price is moving before I've even deposited here, there is a thing called liquidity slippage. Okay. And that's just simply the price moving. To help overcome that, because you can get a failure to deposit if the price moves from where you initially tried to deposit. You can click this button here to change the liquidity slippage. So how much you're willing to accept and it still land the transaction. You can choose one of the presets, or you can define it however you want. This is how much you're willing to accept. There's also the swap slippage here. This only impacts the built-in swap to the pool, which we don't recommend. The Jupyter swap function is not impacted by that. I don't think. So anyway, we see we have two positions. How much is in there over time? It will generate this 24-hour fee over TVL. That's how much you're actually earning. At the top, you'll see the information for the entire pool. But again, keep in mind that this number can be skewed by large deposits and withdrawals. Okay, so this question, I like this question because this doesn't happen very often, but I've seen it. So what's happening here is whenever you are depositing into the DLMM, it's wrapping your SOL. Okay, So it's wrapping it up into so that it works on the DLMM. It starts to get really technical. Whenever you're withdrawing, if there's any part of that withdrawal transaction, and there's many things happening there, it's claiming any unclaimed fees, it's withdrawing all of the tokens and closing the position, reclaiming the rent. There's a lot of steps all within there. And the more bins that you have, the more that are actually involved in that transaction. A failure can happen for many reasons, and it could be from a large price swing during the transaction. A lot of things can happen. If there's a failure there with extracting that SOL, it will remain wrapped, and it's not a big deal. You come back to the pool and there will be a button that says you have this much in wrapped SOL. Click here to unwrap it. You just click that button and it will unwrap the SOL, put it right back into your wallet like it should be. So that's what's expected. Now, there's a fun little banner here at the top, and it just went away, but it was saying that the pool price differed from the Jupiter price or the market price. Okay. That happens because out there on the market, there it is again. There's a lot of different pools out there, and every pool might have a slightly different price. And that's because the price of a pool is directly impacted by trades that hit that liquidity. Okay. The pool price can't move unless there's liquidity there for it to move to. All right. So that's just saying that the market price is 5% or more greater, less or greater than the current pool price. Okay. And it's just kind of giving you a warning. Where you really need to pay attention to that warning is on a pool that doesn't have any liquidity in it or an extremely low amount of liquidity to it. Because that price can be so different. If you deposit in there, you can suffer from something called arbitration. And I go into arbitration in greater detail in the LP Basics course, but it's just basically maybe you've deposited a token at a much higher price than what the current price is. A bot or somebody will very quickly get that, nuke your liquidity. You'll lose all kinds of money in that situation. In this particular case, there's a ton of liquidity here, and we will see that it's just not caught up. It will. You will see this really, the higher the fee is, the more you'll see it, because it takes that much in price change for a swap to hit the pool. Okay. So anyway, we're going to move on to a different, or I'm going to add something to this here. We can see this one already dropped way down. So that's fun. We'll add another position for demo. 0.01, one-sided spot. I'm going to go 40%. One of the things is moving too. There's some volatility going on, guys. Okay. That didn't. The more volatile it is, the trickier changing that can be. All right, got it. Okay. 276 spins. We'll add liquidity. All right, so now we have a deposit, and I'm going to show you guys a mixed strategy now. Let's say that I wanted to do 50% spot and 50% bid ask. So I just go to add more liquidity to that, change it to bid ask on the strategy, hit add liquidity. And there we go. we have a mixed strategy, a layer of spot and a layer of bid ask right there. Very simple, easy to do. You can make all kinds of fun shapes and art with this. I actually did an art class once. So anyway, we can see that we're earning fees. You can claim these fees on the individual positions themselves by sitting there and going and clicking claim fees. Or if you have multiple positions, you can click the claim all fees and it's going to collect all of these at the same time from all the positions. And there we go. So we see now that it's updated to how much in fees that I've earned. This number will not change even if the price of those tokens change. It's telling you how much it was worth at the time you claimed it. So even if the price changes, that'll stay. If you hover here, you'll see it'll show you how much in the 2 tokens that you've received, like this much of the gas and this much of the SOL. Okay, now let's say I wanted to compound this back into the position. I totally can. Let's use a bid ask for giggles, or actually a curve just for fun. It's not how I would normally do it. I would normally use spot or bid ask. But we're going to do some demo here and hit add liquidity. And we can see here now we're making fun shapes. I've just compounded just those fees back into my position. We will see here, this is a new feature, the profit and loss. It's a live real-time P&L. Hovering over it, it will tell you current balance, unclaimed fees, how much you've deposited, all these things. So it's giving you a quick visual representation of that. It's not always perfect. Sometimes you need to double check just to be sure, but that is the idea behind that there. So I can see that I've lost money in this one so far, but hopefully I earned enough fees to overcome that. Okay, now we can see here this little warning symbol just showed up. What that means is that now my position is out of range. Active bin outside of price range. It's moving in and out here. But again, as we talked about very early, when the price moves outside of your liquidity, you stop earning fees. All of the tokens will have been swapped into the other, like that, for example. We could see I have no SOL left in this position. It's all the other token. Okay. So that's how that looks. And what I want to do now is show you a brand new feature, and I'll have to create a new position to do it. 0.01. I'll just use a pure spot. I'm not going to change the number of bins beyond 70. I'm going to keep it at that. And hit approve. Okay. We can already see that it's out of range. All right. Well, let's say that I want to move back into range here. I'm going to click this new feature called rebalance. And what this does is it will swap tokens for the other, bringing the price back to the center. And you can choose, let's change it to curve, or let's change it to bid ask. You can change it to whatever you want. You cannot change the number of bins for that, but this is what it does. It will claim any fees, and it will do a swap. Now, this is important. You see here, rebalancing may cause impermanent loss to be realized. That's something else that's very important that I didn't mention before on impermanent loss. When you're in a state of impermanent loss, when you withdraw, you make that impermanent loss permanent. So that's what you need to understand is what they're saying is impermanent loss is realized. That means you just made it permanent. Now, hopefully you're doing this because you believe that you can earn more fees to offset those losses, and that's great. If you find rebalancing to be the thing that you want to do, then good. It's not always the right thing to do. Sometimes you just need to wait. We'll talk more about that later in the course. But if you would like to rebalance, you can do this here. And we will click rebalance just so that we can see what it looks like. And there we go. Boom. It's moved it. It swapped some of the tokens for the other. And here we are with our brand new position set up. We rebalanced all in one. Very easy. Okay. And of course, you can add to this position if you'd like. But, you don't have to. All right, now, so let's go through our options for withdrawing. The simplest thing that you can do is click withdraw and close position. That is going to claim any unclaimed fees, withdraw all of the tokens, close the position, and reclaim your rent. 100%. Okay. You have other options. You can withdraw just a percentage. They've got buttons for you to change the amount, or you can put in a manual whole number amount to withdraw. If you click this, you can actually come here and define how much of this you want to withdraw. So you can do one-sided withdrawals, or you can just say, give me just this liquidity. And you can even define the percentage on this. Let's say you wanted to withdraw all of that for whatever reason. You click withdraw liquidity, and it's going to pull it out. And there we go. We can now see that it's cut that out right there. So yeah, next option here is to do the zap out. Now, zap out is limited to 250 bins. Let's go here to this one to withdraw so I can demonstrate the zap out function. Zap out to one token. So what we're talking about here is I want to withdraw and close my position completely. I'm not interested in holding any of this other token. I want it all converted into SOL. That's going to be the default option. It's always going to default to the quote, or the this token here, right? It's always going to default to that. You can change it if you want. If you've got some reason that you want that token, neat. But it's going to default to this one. All right. Now, it's going to either swap with the pool or swap with Jupiter, whatever's the best price for you. You can define one or the other if that's something you want to do, but I leave it on auto. Okay. We can see how much it's going to do. I'm going to hit withdraw and close position. And hopefully, because this thing is so volatile, it doesn't fail on me. But this is an important thing that I would like for you all to remember when you are doing a zap out. When you are, double check your wallet. I can see that 5 cents did not get swapped. Sometimes the zap out does not swap the tokens. Always check your wallet when you're done. If you don't, and you leave that in there and the price dumps, well, that's too bad. So always check. That is the zap out. Okay. We do have our things there that we can do. And let's just say that you are done with everything. You wanted to withdraw and close all. This is also an option that you can do that. Next feature that we can see here is something called closed positions. This is a great thing that Meteor has added here, so you can see the history of your positions. Were you in profit? Were you in loss? If you click on it, you will see like how much you deposited, how much you withdrew, how much fees you earned, whether or not you won or lost on these things. That's a super cool thing that I really like that they've added. Other things that you need to see here, at the very top, we have a gear that you can change the RPC. This is kind of technical to explain, but this is what's communicating through the network. If you're having trouble landing transactions or page loading or anything, you can try changing your RPC to a different one and see if that helps. Up here, we also have our transaction fee settings. With the DLMM, it's always going to be JITO, and that's what it's doing is it's using something called JITO bundles. It's grouping all these transactions together because depositing into the DLMM, it can require multiple deposits or multiple transactions. So it's going to bundle all that together so that everything lands together. So JITO only is your only option there. You can change, however, the priority level. The higher the priority level, the more you're going to be charged for the transaction itself. Use the lowest priority level that you can get away with. So start with fast. If you're having trouble landing transactions, then you can increase this. Next is the fee mode, the max cap, how much you're willing to spend per transaction for this to land. Go with the lowest number that you can get away with. I like 0.002, 001. If I'm having trouble, if it's failing a lot, then you can increase it. There is the exact fee, which is not too many times you'd actually want to do this. If you choose exact fee, it will spend however much you specify in here every single time, no matter how busy the network is. So I leave it on max cap, fast. I just bring this down to the lowest number that I can possibly get away with. And so you can set that there for you. Here at the very top, there's a little notification bell. This is for notifications. What this will do, it's very basic, but what it will do is tell you whether or not a DLMM position is out of range. You can use Telegram to get those notifications. You can use email to get those. It will also do a general broadcast. Sometimes Jupiter or others are giving out some important information. When Meteor was doing its TGE, there'd be general broadcast information that came to you through this. It won't tell you whether you're on the upside or the downside when you're out of range. All it will do is just say you're out of range. So you can do that if that's something that you'd like.